Well, hello there and welcome to our news with me, Jane Mutoni.
And I'm Fiona Mbowers. It's good to have you, Jane.
Thank you. Well, on Friday, President Paul Kagame chaired a cabinet meeting that, among other things, discussed measures in place to fight the spread of COVID-19. Back on the 8th of this month of February, it was decided that movement restrictions between the country's districts remain in place with This latest cabinet meeting comes following the recent announcement from the Ministry of Health that COVID-19 vaccinations have begun in Rwanda. The country is looking to vaccinate 20% of the population, with the ultimate goal being 60% of all Rwandans.
Now, President Paul Kagame met and held talks with FIFA President Gianni Infantino at the Football World Governing Body, which opened its regional offices right here in Kigali, Rwanda.
We are home. And we are home because Rwanda and Kigali are simply amazing. Every time I come back to this country, it looks more beautiful. And it is indeed an example for not only the region, not only Africa, but for the entire world.
Since 2016, FIFA, the international governing body of football, has been establishing such regional development offices in different parts of the world. And this latest one was established in Rwanda because of certain aspects of the country.
We have decided to open this regional office here in Kigali. And I would like to thank President Kagame for his support, the entire government, the whole country, all the people of Rwanda for welcoming us here. This place here is amazing. It's beautiful. It will be full of life. But its main task, and I said this already in other meetings, its main task will be to develop football. To develop football means not to organize meetings, but to organize matches.
Rwanda becomes the third African country to host the FIFA Regional Development Office after Senegal and South Africa, something the country's officials say is a great opportunity that will not be wasted.
This partnership is a testimony of the excellent collaboration that already exists between Rwanda and FIFA, including the project to construct 3 stadiums with a seating capacity of 3,000 people each in the rural district of Rutsiro, Rusizi, and Gicumbi. With the establishment of this office, we are looking forward to expediting these projects, which will boost football promotion and development of youth talent at the grassroots level in Rwanda and the region in general.
FIFA is looking to invest as much as $3 million in the project by next year, while Rwanda is looking to benefit from the presence of the development office.
Rwandan football will benefit most, especially from FIFA operations. With the office being right here, we will also benefit when it comes to football development in schools, especially among children, because this is one of the objectives of FIFA. Such programs here in the country will therefore be boosted a lot, and even new football projects can be then proposed as well, which we can do and benefit.
The inauguration ceremony was attended by the head of CECAFA, the Council for East and Central Africa Football Associations, as well as the heads of the football federations of Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, Somalia, and Ethiopia. On Friday, President Paul Kagame had met with the FIFA president Gianni Infantino.
Now, the government of Rwanda and the People's Republic of China today signed an economic and technical cooperation agreement for a grant worth RMB yuan 400 million, which is approximately $60 million The agreement was signed by Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, who is the Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, on behalf of the government of Rwanda, and His Excellency Rao Hongwei, who is the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Rwanda. Minister Ndagijimana and Ambassador Hongwei also signed a debt cancellation agreement worth approximately $6 million.
We're happy with the gesture because we did not ask for this, but we signed the debt cancellation, and this also indicates of the good bilateral ties that we share with them.
His Excellency Ambassador Rao Hongwei said that Rwanda and China are time-tested friends, partners, brothers and sisters. Now, since Chinese President Xi Jinping's historic visit to Rwanda in 2018, the bilateral relationship between Rwanda and China has reached a record high, and comprehensive cooperation between the two countries, especially in the economic field, has tremendously diversified and intensified. China hopes by extending the new financial support to make contribution to Rwanda's all-round transformation and recovery from the malign impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, today's signing of the two agreements also fully demonstrates China's profound friendship with and strong support to Rwanda. End of quote. Now, President Paul Kagame has commended the way the late Lieutenant General Jacques Musemakweli always strived to serve his country and portrayed values that he says should always be associated with RDF soldiers. Now, the head of state made the statement in a message during the funeral of the general who had been serving as the Inspector General of the Rwanda Defense Force at the time of his passing.
The funeral of Lieutenant General Jacques Musemakweli was held on Friday. He died on the 11th of this month of February at the age of 59 and has been buried at the Kanombe Military Cemetery. The message from President Paul Kagame, who is Rwanda's Commander-in-Chief of the country's armed forces, was read by General James Kabarebe, the Senior Defense and Security Advisor in the Office of the President, who also spoke of the bravery of the general both during Rwanda's liberation struggle and afterwards. This is a time of extreme sadness, especially for the family of General Musemakweli, the broader RDF family and the country as a whole. When we remember the years we spent with General Musemakweli, his exemplary service and achievements during the liberation struggle and afterwards as we struggled to develop our country, which he continued until he died. General Musemakweli sacrificed a lot for his country and held nothing back, playing his part, providing both his intellect and physical energy to carry out a variety of duties until he passed away. General Kabarebe also pointed out that Lieutenant General Musemakweli was selected to serve in different capacities within the RDF for a reason. General Musemakweli served with the RDF in many capacities and was chosen to do this because of his capacity to deliver, his values and integrity, things that are of value to the RDF. He strived that all soldiers stay true to those values and passes away while his family and country still need him. Today, let us therefore vow to continue the legacy of patriotism that was always associated with General Musemakweli. In the message read by General Kabarebe, President Kagame assured the late general's family of the country's continued support. During these difficult times, we assure his family that the country's leadership, through the Ministry of Defense and the RDF, will continue to provide support as the law requires and also as is part of our culture. As the Inspector General of the Rwanda Defense Force, Lieutenant General Jacques Musemakweli was tasked with, among other things, providing advice to the RDF's leadership and recommending policies and standards for activities designed to promote economy, efficient and effectiveness in the administration, operations and finance of the RDF. On the 12th of January 2018, then holding the rank of Major General, Jacques Musemakweli was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General by President Kagame. He was appointed to the position of Inspector General of the RDF on the 4th of November 2019.
And now, of course, President Paul Kagame has met and held discussions with FIFA President Gianni Infantino as the Football World Governing Body opens its regional development office right here in Kigali, Rwanda. And of course, this will also be serving the East African region as a whole.
Rwanda's gaming industry is asking the government to consider reopening its businesses with the possibility of other activities soon to open as well. Such establishments have now been closed for close to a year now as part of measures to fight COVID-19. Mwari Jed has more on this story.
Since March 2020, Rwanda's gaming industry was once allowed to operate for less than 2 months before it was shut down again. Employees in this sector are suffering financially due to the fact that they have not been able to work for the last 10 months. When you work for a company, you receive monthly payments. That is how we survive. But since we have not worked for 10 months, a lot of us are struggling financially. A lot of people have been fired due to companies not having the means to pay employees. It's great that people were able to return to work at some times in the year. However, we were not given that chance. Some people say that they know we have work, yet we do not. Investors share this same sentiment. They note and promise to abide by the COVID-19 guidelines if granted the chance to reopen. Eric Utaisire of Forza Bet says he loses up to 50 million Rwanda francs a month. Everyone across the country has suffered due to the pandemic. However, we have suffered significantly due to the fact that we have not worked for the past 10 months. We worked for only 4 hours a day in the city of Kigali during the 2 months of the year. We were not able to work in provinces, and that has been a huge loss for investors and employees as well.
We
have security in charge to ensure that guidelines are followed. As you can see, we have a book that requires everyone to sign in. If anything is to happen, one is able to see everyone that was around at the said time. Sanitizer, soap, and water are all available to keep clean. Rwanda's Ministry of Trade and Industry says up to 19 gaming companies are registered to operate legally in the country. Listed in the third category as casinos, they use slot machines and provide other opportunities such as sports betting. Umngari Jade, RTV News.
Thank you for that story, Umari Jade. While TI Rwanda calls on Rwandans and non-governmental organizations to take actions aimed at helping people affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, a study carried out by TI Rwanda indicates that the pandemic has affected the majority of the population, especially the most vulnerable in society. Gabi Muvunyi has more on that story.
Transparency International Rwanda has highlighted the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the society's vulnerable community and those who have been unemployed since the outbreak broke in Rwanda. Members of the research team spoke to some of those whose identities will be kept anonymous as they describe how the COVID-19 pandemic has had a negative impact on their lives. The first thing that comes to mind for those that own private companies is to immediately terminate employees' contracts. I had a job in education. Now I don't get any salary anymore. I had a bar on the side, but it is no longer operating, and that's where I would get some little money. Eating all meals like we used to is not an option anymore. Now we are barely surviving and wondering even where to find that one meal. I cannot sleep anymore. Chairperson of TI Rwanda, Marie Immaculée Ingabire, cites from the study and says the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic has drawn the vulnerable communities into extreme poverty. You see, a lot of people eat with the money they make on a daily basis, and now businesses are closed. They're running out of money to eat and to pay rent for their houses. Many people have lost their jobs and cannot find any other way to live and to make money. Cooperatives claim that they have helped members, but they say they haven't received any help from them. The money that we saved is being given to us as loans. The consequences are real, and this has led to people giving up on the COVID-19 prevention measures. Telling a hungry person to stay at home is not easy. She commends those that reached out and helped their fellow neighbors and the government of Rwanda for all that it has done during the Guma Murugo period, even though they were unable to reach everyone. They did the best they could, even though there was a small percentage of people that were not able to get anything. In the second lockdown, there was an improvement in coordination and the number of recipients. So we urge these non-governmental organizations to step in and support these groups of people that have lost their jobs and have nothing to do. Such situations of idle people can lead to theft and have a negative impact on people. Research shows that there are times when relief amenities do not get to some communities when they go through local authorities. Director General of LODA, Claudine Nyinawagaga, says as a result of the pandemic, the country's finances are being revised and measures are being taken to continue to help the vulnerable communities. We are working on ways to reform the strategy and address the impact of the pandemic to protect the vulnerable community. It is a strategy to continue helping those in the program and for those that continue to join because of the ongoing pandemic. The only thing I can say is that with limited resources, it really lets us down. German ambassador to Rwanda Thomas Kurtz commends the government of Rwanda on the approach to the COVID-19 pandemic, despite the effects it has had on the country, and also the COVID-19 relief program that has continued being effective dealing with the impact the pandemic has had on the country. Gabi Muvunyi for RTV.
Well, thank you for being with us tonight. Remember to wash your hands, sanitize, and wear a face mask, also practicing social distancing. Thank you for being with us. I was Jane Mutoni.
And I'm Fiona Mbabazi. Have yourselves a lovely evening and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Good night.